Good morning from Europe. Good afternoon, good evening, guys, whatever you are. Piotr here is Liteforex Global YouTube channel. 15th of December 2020, Tuesday morning ahead of the London Open. Yesterday, even without the big events when it comes to the calendar, it was very big and busy day. Just a friendly reminder, it was mostly all about the pound. Pound gapped up, then the bulls were trying to continue move to the upside, and we got the rejection from the levels we were talking about yesterday. So if you were listening very carefully, then probably you did quite well. So what was all about? It was at the very beginning, the gap up. It was the let's call it light in the tunnel when it comes to the Brexit negotiations. But then two things happened. We got the UK Prime Minister spokesman said that well, Brexit talks remain difficult, still no deal as a most probable outcome. That was the number one. Number two, it was moving London when it comes to the restriction to the number three, because of the spike of the new cases, and over the course of the rest of the day during the New York session, we've seen huge rejection. So those two things, I think, in my opinion, are very important. The stance of the UK side, as well as the new cases when it comes to the UK and London with the new restrictions. Now, a few minutes ago, we got the UK job market data. Much better than what market was expecting, with the also average earnings, the previous reading revised up. So there was an initial attempt to spike higher, and as you can see, it's been rejected. So yesterday we were talking about supply starting around after measure we did, right? We did the measure in between. Let's get back to the higher time frame. We made the measure on the weekly chart, right? If you do remember, between what happened 2 weeks ago, right? And we make it to the previous week high, and as you can see, we hit that levels. Maybe we didn't hit extremes as we discussed, but overall we hit the zone we discussed. And when this type of the price action is happening, then you are watching carefully. If you are monitoring my intraday activity, then you can check what I did with pound. Also, I've been trying to trade some longs. I did better on the short side. Anyway, we were talking that the move towards the weekly open and 1533 could be the buying opportunity, right? Well, there was an attempt to buy around the weekly open, as you can see, the lower shadow, but then break through the downside, retest of this level, not quite the low, right? So there is a gap to be filled. So I would be very careful, and especially with the huge rejection towards the end of the day, well, probably I wouldn't stay long pound, taking into the consideration also the news and the reason of that rejection. So for what today, what I do expect today, well, there is a late New York high. There is a consolidation, Asian consolidation and weekly open. I do expect some kind of the liquidity around these levels, and stop count to close the gap with this low. And if we are going to see some kind of the rejection at this level, this type of the candle, for example, but somewhere here, I'm going to try to take the opportunity, and looks like market may want to fill the gap. So I'm going to target levels close to 32.50, 32.30. If you are a buyer, probably if we are going to hit that levels, we might see some kind of the reaction. That's number one. Or if we are going to get back above 33.80, 34, we might retest yesterday high and the levels visible to the left, and retest this swing high over here, so trying to get back towards 35. So that's how I see the cable, looking for the failure around the current level, looking for a target around 30 to 50.30, where I expect some buyers because of what we've seen the other day. That's the cable. Another pound pair I'm looking at and checking is a euro pound. We got the deep and the bullish activity, but for me a little bit too high. We were discussing 90-20-90. We didn't move that low. So for today, no change in view when it comes to the what I'm looking for to the downside. All right, to the as a probable buying opportunity if the price action is going to confirm that, right? As a seller, not 91.40, not this gap fill only. I'm going to explain why I'm not interested in this gap only fill and those upper shadows. Well, because of this V formation, and if we are going to break higher, we might double that size, and then 91.90, 92.20 with this finishing business when it comes to the swing high could be the target. So I'm looking for a little bit higher levels when it comes to eventually selling opportunity. Okay, also overnight we got the Chinese data as well as Australian central bank report after the latest announcement. So both things related to the Australian dollar, the Chinese data mostly in line. So let's have a look what we have when it comes to the Australian dollar. Very similar price action as on the most dollar pair. So dollar was strikes back ahead of the FOMC. Of course, we are going to prepare the plan for FOMC tomorrow. What I'm looking for, there was some kind of the rejection after the RBA minutes with the late US risk of sentiment, but right now, as you can see, we are trying to get back. Now, that's the very important range in my opinion, right? In between where we are right now and 75.50, and I'm looking the mid of that range around 75.40 to be faded, right? And also there is a gap to be filled from the intraday perspective around 75.60. So that's where I'm going to eventually try to scale in from the intraday perspective, and I'm looking for a double of that range because as you can see, there was a failure above the Friday high, so we went much lower, and I'm looking for, that was around the 80. The bottom of that range was around 20.60 to the downside, so I'm looking for 74.60, and as you can see here, there is a very nice intraday demand level, so very nice target for the Australian dollar. And euro dollar, again rejected within 21.70 ish. What I'm looking for today, I'm looking for short either within the range of that particular candle on the hourly chart, right, and with the stop above. But I do understand that if we are going to see euro pound strength, the euro might try to rise again, and don't forget that we do have 22.15. We do have 22.15 as a target from the higher time frame, right? That's the 22.15. So taking into the consideration these highs, I'm not gonna be surprised to see stop count maybe around the FOMC tomorrow, and then eventually, if we are going to see the turn from that, we might see the turn from that particular level. Why I do expect this type of the price action? Because of what we've seen here at the bottom of that range with this stop count, right? So I'm looking for similar move to the upside with similar stop count to the upside, and then eventually rejection. So looking to sell intraday today around here, and eventually if the stop count is going to take place today, if I'm going to be stop out here, then 22.15. If you are a buyer, then levels close to 20.90 from the intraday perspective, taking into consideration the possible over under. And finally, Nasdaq, we've seen some kind of the rejection when it comes to the indices, and there is a in Nasdaq there is a huge possible supply. We've seen the first attempt been rejected, but for now we are working with this demand zone over here, right? So it's a test and we are bouncing. So still taking into the consideration what we've seen here, we doubled that range. Let's see if we are going to retest, or maybe even we are going to try to hit the stops above and then rejection. So based on my chart, I'm looking to start selling Nasdaq around 12,525. All right, guys, so that's the intraday trading plan for today. Don't be trapped, work with your exposure. See you around, take care and goodbye.